I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from, because what I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know about trust and family. At my son's funeral, his wife leaned close and whispered, "Don't worry, Audrey. I'll make sure Benjamin's money goes to good use." I looked at her perfect face, her crocodile tears, and I knew she'd killed him. And I was going to prove it. But first, let me take you back to the beginning. March 18th, 2024. The day I buried my only child. Holman's funeral home in northeast Portland smelled like lilies and rain. I stood in front of the mahogany casket, staring at my son's peaceful face. Benjamin, 37 years old, gone. They said it was a massive heart attack. Sudden cardiac arrest at his office. 1 minute he was working, the next minute he was dead. But Benjamin was healthy. He ran marathons. He didn't smoke, barely drank. His father died of cancer, not heart disease. Nothing in our family history suggested this should happen. I touched the edge of the casket, my fingers trembling. "I'm so sorry, baby," I whispered. "I should have protected you." Behind me, I heard the rustle of expensive fabric. Camila Rivera, my daughter-in-law of 9 years, approached in her designer black dress. Her dark hair was pulled back in a perfect chignon, not a strand out of place. She placed a white rose on Benjamin's chest. One perfect tear rolled down her cheek. "He looks peaceful," she said softly. "Don't you think, Audrey?" I wanted to scream, but I just nodded. That's when I noticed it. Benjamin's left hand, folded over his chest, was bare. No wedding ring. My son never took off that ring. Never. I helped him choose it 9 years ago, simple gold band inscribed with their wedding date. He wore it through showers, through his morning runs, through everything. I looked at Camila's hands. There on her right ring finger was Benjamin's wedding ring. She was wearing my son's ring while he lay dead in his coffin. My blood ran cold. "Camila," I said quietly, "why do you have Benjamin's ring?" She looked down at her hand, then back at me. Her expression didn't change, calm, sorrowful, perfect. "I took it at the hospital," she said, "before they brought him here. I couldn't bear the thought of burying it. I wanted to keep it close. You understand, don't you?" No, I didn't understand, but I couldn't make a scene at my son's funeral. I turned away from her and nearly collided with Bradley Carson, Benjamin's business partner, the man who'd found Benjamin's body and called 911. Bradley was 42, always perfectly dressed, always perfectly composed. Today he wore an expensive black suit, but he wasn't looking at the casket. He was looking at Camila. His eyes followed her every movement. When she touched her hair, his jaw tightened. When she spoke to guests, he leaned forward, listening. "Mrs. Campbell," Bradley said, his voice formal. "I'm so sorry for your loss. Benjamin was like a brother to me." I studied his face. Red-rimmed eyes, but no tears. Tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Thank you for being there," I said. "When it happened." "Of course." He glanced at Camila again. "Anything you need, just ask. I'll make sure the business continues smoothly. Benjamin would have wanted that." The business. Campbell Carson Enterprises. $15 million in annual revenue. Benjamin had built it from nothing, with Bradley handling the finances. Bradley moved closer, and I caught a whiff of expensive cologne. Then he leaned toward my ear. "Don't worry, Audrey," he whispered. "I'll make sure Benjamin's money goes to good use." The words hit me like a physical blow. Not Benjamin's legacy, not his memory, his money. I turned to stare at Bradley, but his face showed nothing. Bored, neutral, like he'd just commented on the weather. He walked away toward the exit, leaving me standing there with my heart pounding. Why would he say that? What did he know about Benjamin's money, and why did he sound so confident? I looked back at the casket. My son lying there peacefully, dead at 37. And suddenly nothing about his death felt right. The funeral service dragged on. People I didn't know offered condolences. Such a tragedy. So young. You must be devastated. I was devastated. But more than that, I was suspicious. I watched Camila accept sympathies near the entrance. Beautiful in her grief. Perfect in every way. She checked her phone when she thought no one was looking. She and Bradley stood just a bit too close when they talked, and her eyes never quite filled with real tears. As the last guests filed out, I stood alone by the guest book trying to process everything. That's when Ashley Turner, Benjamin's receptionist, approached me. Her eyes were red and swollen, real grief, not performance. "Mrs. Campbell," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. Benjamin was the best boss I ever had." "Thank you, Ashley." I touched her arm. "He spoke highly of you." She hesitated, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "Mrs. Campbell, there's something you should know. The day before he died, Benjamin asked me to make copies of some financial records. He said if anything happened to him, I should give them to you." My pulse quickened. "Do you have them?" "I kept them." She pulled a USB drive from her purse. "I don't know why. Instinct, I guess. But after what Mr. Carson said about keeping the office sealed," I closed my fingers around the USB. "Bradley said that he's been coming to the office every night, going through Benjamin's files. He told me not to let anyone in, not even you." Before I could respond, the elevator doors opened. Bradley stepped out, his face going pale when he saw me talking to Ashley. "Henry," he said, using my late husband's name by mistake, then corrected himself. "Audrey, what are you doing here?" "Collecting my son's things," I said evenly. "The lawyers advised keeping everything sealed until the estate is settled." His hand trembled as he adjusted his tie. "Once the probate process—" "Why have you been here every night, Bradley?" His jaw clenched. "Someone has to keep the business running. You were here the night he died. Ashley said you left at 5, but you didn't call 911 until 6:30. "I came back. I forgot something." "What did you forget?" "Audrey, I understand you're looking for answers, but Benjamin's death was a tragedy, not a mystery." He stepped closer. "And honestly, investigating things, it's not good for you. The stress, your own heart condition." I froze. "I never said I was investigating." His eyes darted to Ashley, then back. "I didn't mean look, just go home, Audrey. Rest. Let us handle things." Us, Camilla and Bradley, handling things. I walked to the elevator, feeling his stare burning into my back. I didn't sleep that night. At 62, I was used to insomnia. Since my wife Eleanor died 8 years ago, sleep came hard. But tonight was different. Tonight my mind raced with questions. Benjamin's missing ring, Bradley's whispered comment, the timeline that didn't add up. At dawn, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and the USB drive Ashley had given me. I plugged it in. The first file was a spreadsheet. Columns of numbers, dates, transactions. I'm not a businesswoman. I was a school librarian for 30 years, but even I could see something was wrong. Transfers to an offshore account. $847,000 in one transaction alone. Then another $523,000. Then $891,000. All from Campbell Carson Enterprises to something called KR Capital LLC. KR Capital. I Googled it. A shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. No physical address, no listed officers. I kept scrolling. More transfers. More money disappearing into offshore accounts. Over 18 months, $3.8 million had been moved out of Benjamin's company. That's when I found the email. From Benjamin to someone named lawson.family.law@gmail.com. Subject: urgent prenup enforcement, body. I have evidence of adultery. Need to protect assets ASAP. Wife having affair with business partner. Please advise on divorce proceedings and asset protection. The email was dated March 15th, 3 days before Benjamin died. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the mouse. Benjamin had been planning to divorce Camilla. He knew about her affair with Bradley. He was going to expose them both. And 2 days later, he was dead. I sat back in my chair, my heart pounding. This wasn't a heart attack. This was murder. But how do you prove that? How do you convince anyone when the medical examiner has already ruled it natural causes? I needed help. I needed someone who understood medicine, who could tell me if a healthy 37-year-old man could really just drop dead. I called Dr. Emily Grant. She'd been Benjamin's doctor for 5 years. "Mrs. Campbell," she said when she answered. "I'm so sorry about Benjamin. I still can't believe—" "Emily, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." A pause. "Of course. Could Benjamin really have died of natural causes? A massive heart attack at 37 with no warning signs." Another pause, longer this time. "Mrs. Campbell, I can't discuss—" "Emily, please, he was my son." I heard her sigh. "Can you come to my office this afternoon? I'll be here until 6. Dr. Emily Grant's office was in a medical building near Legacy Good Samaritan Hospital. She was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, with tired eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She closed her office door and gestured for me to sit. "What I'm about to tell you stays between us," she said. "Understood." I nodded. She pulled up Benjamin's file on her computer. The autopsy showed massive cardiac arrest. His heart simply stopped. But she hesitated. There were things that didn't add up. What kind of things? Rigor mortis set in unusually fast. Typically it takes several hours after death, but Benjamin's body showed advanced rigidity much sooner than expected. What would cause that? Extreme physical exertion right before death, certain medications, environmental factors. She looked at me directly. Or if the time of death was reported incorrectly. My stomach dropped. Incorrectly. Benjamin was brought in by his business partner around 6:30 p.m., but the physical evidence suggested he might have been deceased longer, maybe an hour or more. Bradley had found the body and called it in. But what if Benjamin had died earlier? What if Bradley had been there when it happened? "There's something else," Dr. Grant continued. "We ran a full toxicology screen. It showed trace amounts of potassium chloride." "What's that?" "It's an electrolyte. In normal amounts, it's essential for heart function, but in high doses, it causes cardiac arrest, and it metabolizes quickly within hours. It's nearly impossible to detect. So someone could have injected him with it. Theoretically, but the medical examiner ruled it as likely contamination from the IV fluids at the hospital. There was no reason to suspect foul play, so..." She trailed off. "So they didn't look deeper." "No, they didn't." I sat there processing. Potassium chloride. Fast-acting, hard to detect, the perfect murder weapon. "Emily, I think someone killed my son." She didn't look surprised. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to prove it." The next morning, I drove to Campbell Carson Enterprises in the Pearl District. The building was modern glass and steel, expensive and impressive. Ashley was at the front desk. She looked up when I entered, relief flooding her face. "Mrs. Campbell, I wasn't sure you'd come. I need to see Benjamin's office." She glanced nervously at the elevator. "Mr. Carson said to keep it locked. He's been..." "Ashley, I'm Benjamin's mother and the executor of his estate. I have every right to access his office." She hesitated, then nodded. "He's not here yet. Usually arrives around 9. It was 7:45 a.m. Then we have time." Benjamin's office was on the 3rd floor. Ashley unlocked it with shaking hands. Inside, everything was too neat. Desktop clear, files organized. Computer screen dark. Someone had cleaned this office, sanitized it. I sat at Benjamin's desk and powered on his computer. Password protected, of course. I tried his birthday. No. His wedding anniversary. No. Then I remembered Benjamin always used Eleanor's birthday for passwords. My late wife had been like a second mother to him. I typed in the date. The computer unlocked. "Oh, thank God," Ashley whispered. I went straight to his email. The most recent activity was March 17th, the night before he died. Someone had logged in at 11:43 p.m. and deleted emails, but they hadn't emptied the trash folder. I opened it. Dozens of deleted emails from the past week. Most were routine business correspondence, but then I found it. An email exchange between Benjamin and Dr. Richard Stone. Dr. Richard Stone, Benjamin's college roommate, a cardiologist. The email was dated March 15th. "Benjamin Rich, I need your help with something unusual. Can we meet privately? It's about a medical procedure I need done, discreetly." Dr. Stone, this sounds serious. What kind of procedure, Benjamin? I need to appear dead. Temporarily. Controlled cardiac arrest, then revival. I know it sounds crazy, but I have reasons. Life or death reasons. Dr. Stone, Jesus, Ben, what's going on? Benjamin, I think someone's trying to kill me. I need to fake my death to draw them out, to catch them. Will you help me? Dr. Stone, this is insane. We should go to the police. Benjamin, no police, not yet. I need proof first. Are you in or out, Dr. Stone? I'm in, but we do this my way. Safety protocols, medical supervision, and if anything feels wrong, we abort immediately. Benjamin, agreed. Meet me at the office March 17th, 8 p.m. Don't tell anyone. I stared at the screen, my mind reeling. Benjamin had planned to fake his own death. He was going to use some kind of drug to simulate cardiac arrest, then wake up later and catch whoever was trying to kill him. But he'd died for real, at his office, around the time he was supposed to meet Dr. Stone, which meant someone had figured out his plan and killed him before he could fake it. Mrs. Campbell, Ashley's voice was worried. Are you okay? You've gone very pale. Ashley, I need you to print all of these emails, everything from the trash folder. Can you do that? Of course, but the elevator dinged. Ashley's eyes went wide. That's Mr. Carson. Does he know I'm here? I didn't tell him, but Bradley's voice echoed from the hallway. Ashley, whose car is that in my parking spot? Ashley looked at me in panic. I made a decision. Don't tell him I found these emails. Print them later and bring them to my house. Can you do that? She nodded. I stood up, smoothed my jacket, and walked out of the office just as Bradley rounded the corner. His face went from surprise to anger in a heartbeat. Audrey, what are you doing in Benjamin's office, collecting his personal items, as is my right as executor? The estate hasn't been settled. You can't just, I can Bradley, and I did. I walked past him toward the elevator. By the way, I know about the offshore accounts. KR Capital, $3.8 million. Benjamin knew too. That's why he was going to fire you, wasn't it? Bradley's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? I pressed the elevator button. Benjamin found out you were embezzling. He was going to expose you. Funny how he died right before he could do that. You're making wild accusations. Am I? Then you won't mind if I take all of this to the police. Let them investigate your financial records. I'm sure everything will check out just fine. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Bradley's hand shot out, stopping the doors from closing. Audrey, listen to me. You don't understand the situation. Benjamin's death was a tragedy, but dragging his company through a scandal won't bring him back. Get your hand off the door, Bradley. There are things you don't know. Things about Camilla. About their marriage. If you keep digging... I said get your hand off the door. He pulled back and the doors slid shut. Through the closing gap, I saw the expression on his face. Not anger anymore. Fear. Good. He should be afraid. That evening my phone rang. Camilla. Audrey, we need to talk. Can I come over? Every instinct told me to say no, but I needed to see her reaction when I confronted her. I needed to watch her face when I told her I knew about the affair. Fine, come over. She arrived 30 minutes later wearing a black silk robe over designer jeans. Her hair was down, making her look younger, more vulnerable. But I wasn't fooled. I let her in but didn't offer her anything. We sat in my living room, the tension thick between us. Thank you for seeing me, she said softly. I know things have been difficult. What do you want, Camilla? She took a breath. I want to be honest with you, Audrey. About Benjamin and me. About our marriage. Go ahead. I'm listening. We were having problems. For the past 6 months, maybe longer. Benjamin became distant, obsessed with work. He barely came home. I felt so alone. I watched her carefully, waiting. Bradley was there for me, she continued. He listened. He understood. And I... She looked down. I made a mistake. Benjamin and I were drifting apart, and I turned to Bradley for comfort. You had an affair. She didn't flinch. Yes, I did. And I'm not proud of it. But I want you to know I never meant to hurt Benjamin. I was going to end it with Bradley. I told him it was over 2 weeks ago. Lies. All lies. The email said Benjamin was going to divorce her, not the other way around. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I don't want secrets between us. You're the only family I have left, Audrey. I need you to understand I loved your son. Despite my mistakes, I loved him. More lies, but I played along. Thank you for being honest, I said. Relief washed over her face. Does this mean you forgive me? I didn't say that. I said thank you for being honest. The relief disappeared, replaced by something harder. Audrey, I'm worried about you. Have you been to see Benjamin's office, talk to anyone? Why would you be worried about that? Because Bradley mentioned you were asking questions, making accusations about money, and I'm concerned that the grief is making you see things that aren't there. I saw the financial records, Camilla. $3.8 million moved to offshore accounts. She didn't even blink. Those were legitimate business transactions. Benjamin was expanding into international markets. The offshore accounts were for tax purposes. Then why didn't he tell you about them? He did tell me. We discussed it months ago. Another lie. If she'd known about the money, Benjamin wouldn't have been planning to divorce her for adultery. He would have included the embezzlement in his case. Camilla, why did you take Benjamin's wedding ring? The question seemed to throw her. I told you, I wanted to keep it close. But he was supposed to be buried with it. That's tradition. Tradition doesn't matter to me. Benjamin matters. And I'll keep his ring for the rest of my life. She stood up, moving to the window. Her back was to me, but I could see her reflection in the glass. Her expression was calculating. Cold. Audrey, I need to be frank with you. Your health concerns me. Eleanor died of a heart attack at 54, didn't she? My blood ran cold. What does that have to do with anything? She turned back to me. These things run in families. Heart disease. The stress of all this investigating, asking questions, making accusations. It's not good for you. You need to rest. Let Bradley and me handle the estate. It wasn't concern in her voice. It was a threat. Promise me you'll take care of yourself, she continued, moving closer. Promise me you'll stop looking for problems where there aren't any. For your own health. Translation, stop asking questions or you'll have an accident. I stood up. I think you should leave now. Audrey, I said leave. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. I understand. You're upset. But think about what I said. About your health. About not making this harder than it needs to be. After she left, I sat in the dark for a long time. Then I went to my bedroom and retrieved Eleanor's old revolver from the bedside safe. I hadn't touched it in years, but I knew how to use it. If Camilla and Bradley were planning to kill me too, I wasn't going down without a fight. 2 days later, I woke up feeling wrong. Dizzy. Confused. My hands trembled as I reached for my morning medication. I'd been feeling off for weeks now, actually. Ever since Benjamin died. I'd chalked it up to grief and stress. But now, after Camilla's threat about my heart condition, I was suspicious. I looked at my prescription bottle. Metoprolol, for blood pressure. I'd been taking it for 3 years, same pharmacy, same dosage. But when I poured a pill into my hand, it looked different. Slightly different color, different texture. Maybe I was being paranoid, but then again, paranoia had kept me alive this long. I called Dr. Grant. Emily, I need another favor. Can you test something for me? My medication. I think it might have been tampered with. Audrey, that's a serious accusation. Are you sure? I'm sure. Can you test it or not? She hesitated. Come to my office. Bring the bottle. And bring a hair sample too. If someone's been poisoning you, it'll show up in your hair. An hour later, I was sitting in her examination room while she drew blood and collected samples. If someone has been poisoning you, what would they use? I asked. Depends on the goal. If they want it to look like natural causes, they'd use something that mimics your existing condition. Digitalis to cause heart arrhythmia. Arsenic in low doses to cause organ failure over time. Insulin to cause hypoglycemic shock. How long would it take to kill someone? With low doses, weeks, maybe months. The victim would just seem to be declining naturally, especially if they're older, already have health issues. No one would question it. Older, already have health issues. She was talking about me. When will you have the results? 2 days, maybe 3. I'll call you as soon as I know. I drove home in a daze. If my medication had been tampered with, there was only one person who had access to it. Camilla. She'd been to my house multiple times in the past month, always bringing food, always checking on me, always so concerned about my health. She could have switched my pills any time. Back at home, I went through everything she'd brought me. Casseroles, baked goods, tea. I'd eaten most of it trusting her, grieving and vulnerable and stupid. I took samples of everything that was left and put them in plastic bags. Evidence. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Campbell, this is Dr. Richard Stone, Benjamin's friend. We need to talk. Can you meet me tonight? It's urgent. My hands started shaking again. Dr. Stone, the cardiologist who was supposed to help Benjamin fake his death, the one who was supposed to meet him the night he died. I typed back, where's Laurelhurst Cemetery? Your wife's grave. 10 p.m. Come alone. Why there? Why Eleanor's grave? But I knew I had to go. Stone might have answers. He might have been there that night. He might have seen what happened to Benjamin. I texted back, I'll be there. The rest of the day crawled by. I tried to eat but couldn't. Tried to rest but couldn't. At 9:30 p.m., I got in my car and drove to the cemetery. Portland at night was rainy and dark. The cemetery was deserted, just rows of headstones disappearing into the mist. I found Eleanor's grave under the old oak tree, and there, standing in the shadows, was a man I didn't recognize. He stepped into the light, late 30s, expensive watch, tired eyes. "Mrs. Campbell, I'm Richard Stone. Thank you for coming. You were supposed to meet Benjamin the night he died." "I know." His voice was heavy with guilt. "I should have saved him. If I'd been there earlier, Tell me what happened. All of it." He took a breath. "Benjamin called me 6 weeks ago, said he thought someone was trying to kill him. He'd found evidence that his business partner was embezzling money, and he suspected his wife was having an affair with that same partner. Bradley and Camilla." "Yes, he was planning to divorce Camilla and press charges against Bradley, but he knew if he did it openly they might act first, so he came up with a plan. To fake his death." Stone nodded. "I have access to a drug called adenosine. Combined with a paralytic, it can create a temporary state of cardiac arrest. No heartbeat, no breathing. Death-like for about 6 minutes. Then the person wakes up naturally, no permanent damage." "That's insane. It's risky. But Benjamin was desperate. He wanted to catch them in the act. Make them think they'd succeeded, then come back from the dead with proof of their attempted murder." "What went wrong?" "We were supposed to meet at his office on March 17th at 8 p.m. I'd administer the drug call 911 report, finding him collapsed. I'd control the scene, make sure everything went according to plan, but Benjamin never showed up for our meeting." "What do you mean he never showed up?" "He died at his office that night." "I know, but when I got there at 8 p.m., the office was locked, empty. I waited until 8:45, then left. I thought he'd gotten cold feet, backed out of the plan." Stone's voice broke. "I found out the next morning that he'd died. Real died. And I realized someone must have killed him before we could execute our plan." My mind raced. "Did you tell the police?" "No, because I was complicit in planning a fraud. I'd lose my medical license, maybe go to jail. And what could I prove that Benjamin wanted to fake his death that doesn't prove he was murdered?" "You're a coward." "I know." He looked at me with haunted eyes. "That's why I'm here now. I owe Benjamin. I owe you. What can I do to help?" I studied him. Could I trust him? He'd already abandoned Benjamin once. But I needed allies, and a cardiologist who knew about unusual drugs might be useful. "Help me prove Camilla and Bradley killed him. Help me get justice. How? I don't know yet, but I'll think of something." Stone nodded. "There's one more thing you should know. I reviewed Benjamin's autopsy report through my hospital connections. They found potassium chloride in his system, but they also found traces of something else." "What is?" "Adenosine, my drug, the one we were going to use to fake his death." I stared at him. "But you said you never gave it to him." "I didn't, which means Benjamin must have injected himself. He went through with the plan even without me there. He faked his own death, or tried to. Then someone else gave him the potassium chloride. While he was paralyzed, unable to move or speak, they murdered him while he was helpless. The horror of it washed over me. My son lying there conscious but frozen, watching someone inject poison into his veins. Unable to scream. Unable to fight. "Mrs. Campbell, are you all right?" I wasn't all right. I would never be all right again. But I was going to get justice. "I need you to test something for me," I said, pulling out the plastic bags with my medication. "I think Camilla's been poisoning me too. Can you analyze these?" Stone took the samples. "I'll have results in 2 days. And I need you to stay close. If I'm right about Camilla and Bradley, they're going to come after me next. I need someone watching my back." "I'll do whatever it takes." As I drove home through the Portland rain, my phone buzzed again. Another text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Mrs. Campbell, or you'll join your son." They knew I was investigating. They were watching me. Good. Let them watch. Let them worry. Because I was coming for them. And unlike my son, I wasn't going to fake my death. I was going to make them wish they'd never been born. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, let me catch you up quickly. My son Benjamin died at 37 of an apparent heart attack. But I discovered he was planning to divorce his wife, Camilla, expose his partner Bradley for embezzlement, and fake his own death to catch them in the act. Someone killed him before he could. And now they're trying to kill me, too. Today, I'm going to tell you about the day I became the hunter instead of the prey. If you're watching this, comment your city below and hit subscribe because what happens next will shock you. 2 days after meeting Dr. Stone, my phone rang at 7 a.m. It was Dr. Emily Grant. Her voice was tight, professional. "Audrey, you need to come to my office, now. Don't eat or drink anything. Don't take any medication. Just come." My stomach dropped. "You found something?" "I'll explain when you get here." I dressed quickly, my hands shaking. The drive to her office felt like it took forever. Dr. Grant locked the door behind me when I arrived. Her face was pale. "Sit down," she said. I sat. She pulled up test results on her computer screen, columns of numbers and chemical names I didn't understand. "Your medication was tampered with," she said bluntly. "Someone replaced approximately 40% of your metoprolol pills with a combination of sedatives and arsenic." The room seemed to tilt. "Arsenic, low dose, chronic exposure. Based on your hair sample analysis, you've been ingested it for at least 3 weeks, maybe longer. How much longer until—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Until it killed you another week, maybe 2. You would have appeared to decline naturally. Confusion, weakness, organ failure. At your age, with your existing heart condition, no one would have questioned it." I thought about all the times I'd felt dizzy, the confusion, the trembling hands I'd blamed on grief. Camilla had been slowly poisoning me for weeks. "The casserole she brought," Dr. Grant continued, "contained a massive dose of benzodiazepines. If you'd eaten it, you would have been hospitalized, possibly died of respiratory failure. It would have looked like you accidentally overdosed on your own medication." My voice came out as a whisper. "She's trying to kill me." "Yes, and she's been doing it carefully, methodically. This isn't impulsive. This is calculated murder." Dr. Grant handed me a bottle. "These are your real medications, uncontaminated. I've documented everything, the poison, the timeline, the medical evidence. It's all sealed in official records. Can we take this to the police?" "You can, but Audrey—" She hesitated. "Without proof that Camilla was the one who switched your pills, a good lawyer could argue contamination at the pharmacy manufacturing defect anything. You need to catch her in the act." "How nay? That's not my area of expertise. But Dr. Stone called me yesterday. He said he's helping you. Maybe between the 3 of us we can figure something out." I stood up steadier now. The fear was being replaced by something else. Anger. Cold, focused anger. "Thank you, Emily. For everything. Be careful, Audrey. These people have already killed once. They won't hesitate to do it again." That afternoon, I met Dr. Stone at a coffee shop in Selwood, far from anyone who might recognize us. He slid a folder across the table. "Analysis of your medication and the casserole. Everything Emily found plus my own tests. This is attempted murder, no question. But not enough for an arrest. Not yet. We need more. We need proof that Camilla or Bradley actually administered the poison." I thought about it. What if we made them think their plan was working? What if I pretended to be getting sicker? Stone considered this. "You mean act like the poison is affecting you more severely? Make them confident." "Exactly. Camilla wants me weak and confused, so I'll give her that. I'll play the dying old woman. And while she thinks she's winning, I'll be gathering evidence." "That's dangerous. If they think you're close to death, they might accelerate their timeline, finish you off." "Then we'll have to be ready for that, too." Stone pulled out his phone and showed me a small device. "This is a medical alert monitor. Wear it around your neck. If you're in danger, press the button. It sends an alert directly to my phone with your GPS location. I can be there in minutes." "Will minutes be fast enough?" "It'll have to be." I took the device. It was small, unobtrusive. Looked like something a worried elderly woman would wear. "Perfect." "There's one more thing," Stone said. "I've been reviewing Benjamin's autopsy more carefully. The adenosine in his system, my drug was administered approximately 15 minutes before the potassium chloride." "Meaning he injected himself first, then someone else killed him?" "Yes. But here's the interesting part. The injection site for the adenosine was in his left arm. The injection site for the potassium chloride was in his right arm. So Benjamin was right-handed. If he injected himself, he'd use his dominant hand to inject his non-dominant arm. Left arm makes sense, but the potassium chloride in the right arm suggests someone else did it, someone who was right-handed themselves. Camilla is right-handed. I've watched her right cook do everything with her right hand." Stone nodded grimly. I think we know who killed your son." For the next 3 days, I played my part perfectly. I called Camilla, my voice weak and confused. "I'm not feeling well. Everything's so fuzzy. Could you come check on me?" She arrived within an hour, concern painted on her face. "Oh, Audrey, you look terrible. Have you been taking your medication?" I think so. I can't remember." She went straight to my bathroom, checking my pill bottles. I watched her through the crack in the door. She counted the pills, a small smile crossing her face when she thought I wasn't looking. She thought the poison was working. Good. "Let me make you some tea," she said, guiding me to the couch. "You need to rest." While she was in the kitchen, I activated the recording app on my phone, hidden in my cardigan pocket. She brought me tea and sat close, stroking my hand. "You know, Audrey, maybe it's time to think about getting some help. A care facility. Somewhere with nurses who can manage your medications properly. A facility. Just until you're stronger. I've already looked into a few places. Very nice, very comfortable. You wouldn't have to worry about anything. A care facility where she could visit regularly, where my decline wouldn't seem suspicious, where I would eventually die of natural causes and no one would question it." "I don't know," I said, making my voice tremble. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not a burden. You're family. And I want to take care of you the way you took care of Benjamin." The way I took care of Benjamin. The son she'd murdered. It took everything I had not to throw the tea in her face. Instead, I sipped it, or pretended to. As soon as she looked away, I poured it into the potted plant beside the couch. "Thank you," I whispered. "You're so kind to me." "Of course. That's what family does." She checked her watch. "I need to go meet with the estate lawyers, but I'll call you tonight to check in. And Audrey, please think about the care facility. I really think it's best." After she left, I immediately spit out the small amount of tea I'd actually swallowed and rinsed my mouth. Dr. Stone arrived 20 minutes later. I'd texted him as soon as Camilla's car pulled away. "Did you get it?" he asked. I played the recording. Camilla's voice crystal clear, talking about care facilities and managing my medications. "It's not a confession," Stone said, "but it's evidence of intent. She's planning your institutionalization." "What about the tea?" He took the cup carefully, using gloves. "I'll test it. If it's poisoned, we'll have proof she's actively trying to harm you." While Stone was there, my phone buzzed. A text from Ashley Benjamin's receptionist. "Mrs. Campbell, Mr. Carson just left the office. He took 3 boxes of files with him. I don't know what's in them, but he was very nervous. Thought you should know." I showed the text to Stone. "He's destroying evidence," I said. "Whatever proof Benjamin had of the embezzlement, Bradley's getting rid of it. Then we need to move faster before he covers his tracks completely." That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to the house creak and settle. Every sound made me jump. The medical alert device hung around my neck. Dr. Stone was on call phone in hand, but I still felt vulnerable, alone. At 2:47 a.m. I heard it. Glass breaking. Downstairs. Back door. My heart hammered against my ribs. I reached for my phone, but there was no signal. Someone was jamming it. Footsteps. Heavy. Male. I grabbed Eleanor's revolver from the bedside table and crept to my bedroom door. Through the crack, I could see a shadow moving in the hallway. Large. Broad-shouldered. Bradley. He was wearing dark clothes and gloves. In his hand, he carried something. A syringe. My blood turned to ice. He thought I was asleep, drugged by whatever Camilla had put in the tea. He'd come to finish the job. I pressed the medical alert button around my neck. A tiny vibration confirmed it had sent. Stone would be here in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I just had to survive 10 minutes. Bradley pushed open my bedroom door. I hid behind it, revolver raised, hands shaking. He approached the bed. In the darkness, he couldn't see the pillows I'd arranged to look like a sleeping body. "Sorry, Audrey," he whispered. "Nothing personal. Just business." He raised the syringe. I stepped out from behind the door, gun pointed at his back. "Put it down, Bradley." He spun around, eyes wide with shock. "Audrey, put down the syringe and step back." He froze, calculating. The syringe was still in his hand. "You're making a mistake," he said slowly. "I came because Camilla was worried. She said you weren't answering your phone. At 3 a.m. with a syringe, don't insult my intelligence. It's insulin, for diabetic emergencies. I thought you might be in shock." I'm not diabetic, Bradley. And that's not insulin, is it? That's potassium chloride. The same thing you used to kill my son. His face went pale. I didn't kill Benjamin. No? Then why are you here? Why do you have a syringe filled with the exact drug that stopped his heart? He took a step toward me. Audrey, put the gun down. Let's talk about this. Don't move. You're not going to shoot me. You're a 62-year-old librarian. You're not a killer. You'd be surprised what a mother becomes when someone murders her child. We stared at each other in the darkness. My finger on the trigger, his hand on the syringe. Why did you do it? I asked. Was it just the money, or was it something else? His jaw clenched. You want to know why? Because your son was going to destroy me. Everything I'd built, everything I'd worked for, he was going to take it all away over some accounting discrepancies. $3.8 million isn't a discrepancy. It's theft. It was my money. I did the work. I made the deals. Benjamin just coasted on his father's reputation and his trust fund. He didn't earn anything. So you killed him. I didn't want to. His voice cracked. Camila said it was the only way. She said if we got rid of Benjamin, we could have everything. The company, the money, the life we deserved. There it was, the confession. And me, I pressed. What was I? Collateral damage. You wouldn't let it go. You kept digging, kept asking questions. Camila said you had to go too. Said it would look natural, just an old woman dying of grief and a bad heart. Camila planned all of this. She plans everything. Bitterness crept into his voice. The affair, the murder, getting rid of you. I just followed her lead. You're a coward. His face twisted with anger. He lunged forward. I pulled the trigger. The gunshot was deafening in the small room. Bradley stumbled backward, hitting the wall. But he wasn't shot. I'd aimed high, deliberately into the ceiling. The sound had the desired effect. Bradley dropped the syringe and bolted for the door. I heard him crash down the stairs, heard the back door slam. Then silence. I stood there, shaking the gun heavy in my hands. Sirens wailed in the distance. The neighbors must have called 911. My bedroom door burst open. Dr. Stone, wild-eyed and breathless. Audrey, are you hurt? I couldn't speak. I just pointed at the syringe on the floor. Stone picked it up carefully with a tissue. Is this? He was going to inject me. He said it's potassium chloride, the same thing that killed Benjamin. Stone's face went hard. I'm calling the police. This is attempted murder. We have him. But I shook my head. We have him confessing to following Camila's orders. We have him breaking in with a deadly weapon, but we don't have Camila. Not yet. Audrey, you almost died tonight. I know, but if we arrest Bradley now, Camila will lawyer up. She'll claim she knew nothing about this. She'll say Bradley was obsessed acting alone, and she might get away with it. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we use Bradley. Make him think he still has a chance. Get him to give us Camila. Stone stared at me. You're playing a very dangerous game. I know, but I'm playing to win. When the police arrived, I told them the truth, mostly. Someone had broken into my house. I'd fired a warning shot. They'd fled. I described the intruder as a large man in dark clothing, face covered. I didn't mention Bradley by name. The police took photos of the broken window, dusted for prints, wrote up their report. You're lucky you had that gun, ma'am, the officer said. Living alone at your age, break-ins can be dangerous. At my age, like I was fragile, helpless. If only they knew. After the police left, Stone and I sat in my kitchen while he tested the syringe. Definitely potassium chloride, he confirmed. In a lethal dose. If he'd injected you, you would have been dead within minutes. Can we use this as evidence? If we can prove Bradley brought it here, yes. But he wore gloves. No prints. I thought about it. He dropped it when I fired the gun. Maybe there's DNA skin cells. Maybe, but that's not enough to convict him of murder. Just attempted murder. And his lawyer could argue he was defending himself from an armed old woman. An armed old woman. There it was again. My age used as a weapon against me. What about the confession? I recorded it. On what? I pointed to the corner of my bedroom ceiling. A small security camera barely visible. I installed cameras 3 days ago. After Camila's visit. I recorded everything. Stone's eyes widened. You recorded Bradley confessing every word. Him admitting to killing Benjamin. Him saying Camila planned it all. Him explaining why he came here tonight. Audrey, you brilliant woman. This changes everything. We pulled up the footage on my laptop. There it was, crystal clear. Bradley's face, his voice, his confession. I didn't kill Benjamin. Camilla said it was the only way. She plans everything. It wasn't perfect. A good lawyer could argue he was under duress, speaking under threat of death. But combined with everything else, the embezzlement, the poison, the attempted murder tonight, it was damning. We still need Camilla on tape, I said. We need her to admit what she did. How do we do that? We make her think she's won. The next morning I called Camilla. My voice was weak, shaking. Camilla, something terrible happened. Someone broke into my house last night. Oh my God, Audrey, are you okay? I'm so scared. I fired my gun and they ran away, but I don't feel safe anymore. I can't stay here. I could almost hear her smile through the phone. Of course you can't. That must have been so traumatic. Where are you now? Still at home. The police just left. But I can't be alone here. I'll come right over. We'll figure this out together. She arrived within 30 minutes. I'd set up everything perfectly, cameras hidden in the living room, recording devices in my pockets, Stone waiting in his car down the street. Camilla rushed in, all concern and sympathy. You poor thing. Come here. She hugged me. I smelled her expensive perfume and felt her hand pat my back. I've been thinking about what you said, I told her. About the care facility. Maybe you're right. I can't live alone anymore. Her eyes lit up. Really, you'd consider it? I don't have a choice. Last night proved that. I'm too old, too weak. I need help. You're making the right decision, Audrey. I'll take care of everything. The paperwork, the arrangements, all of it. There's just one thing. My medications. I need to bring them with me. Can you help me sort them out? I'm so confused about what I'm supposed to take. Of course. Let me see what you have. She went to my bathroom. I followed, phone recording in my pocket. She picked up each bottle, reading the labels. When she got to the metoprolol, her fingers lingered. This is your heart medication, right? Yes, but I feel like it's not working anymore. I feel worse every day. How many are you taking? 2 pills a day, like the bottle says. She opened the bottle, counting. Her brow furrowed. There are more here than there should be. Audrey, have you been forgetting to take them? I don't know. Everything's so fuzzy. She closed the bottle with a decisive snap. That's the problem. You're not taking your medication regularly. No wonder you feel terrible. Should I take more? No. Just stick to the prescribed dose. In fact, let me help you. I'll set up a pill organizer, make sure you're taking the right amounts at the right times. She pulled out her phone and made a note. I'll pick one up today and bring it by tomorrow. That way you won't be confused. A pill organizer she would fill, with poisoned pills, making sure I took the right amounts at the right times. Thank you, I said weakly. I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't have to worry about that. I'll always be here for you. She hugged me again. Over her shoulder I could see my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I looked fragile, frightened, weak, perfect. After she left, Stone came inside. Did you get it? He asked. Not yet, but she's planning to come back tomorrow with a pill organizer. She's going to increase the dosage, make sure I take enough poison to kill me quickly. We need to stop her. No, we need to catch her. Tomorrow when she comes back, we'll have Detective Mitchell here, hidden, watching. When Camilla tries to give me those pills, we'll have her for attempted murder. And what about Bradley? I'm going to call him. Tell him the break-in scared me so much that I'm backing off the investigation. Make him think he's safe. Stone looked skeptical. You think he'll believe that? He wants to believe it. He's desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. I picked up my phone and called Bradley's number. He answered on the 3rd ring. Audrey. His voice was wary. Bradley, I need to apologize for the accusations I made, the things I said about the money. Silence. I was grief-stricken, I continued, looking for someone to blame. But after last night's break-in, I realized life is too short for grudges. I just want peace. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm dropping it. The investigation, the questions, all of it. I'm going into a care facility. Camilla's arranging it, and I want you to have Benjamin's share of the company. He would have wanted his partner to carry on his legacy. More silence. Then, are you serious? Completely. I'll have my lawyer draw up the papers. You'll have full control of Campbell Carson Enterprises. No more questions, no more problems. I could almost hear him sagging with relief. Audrey, thank you. You're making the right decision. I know. I'm just tired, Bradley. Tired of fighting. Tired of being alone. I just want whatever time I have left to be peaceful. It will be, I promise. After I hung up, Stone shook his head. You're either the bravest woman I've ever met or the craziest. Maybe both. What happens tomorrow when Camilla comes with the pills? The next day, I woke up early. Detective Sarah Mitchell arrived at 9 a.m. dressed in plain clothes. She was 40, sharp-eyed, and skeptical of everything I'd told her. But the evidence had convinced her the poison the security footage the attempted break-in. Where do you want me? She asked. Bedroom closet. You'll have a clear view of the living room through the crack. When Camilla tries to give me the pills, that's when you come out. Mitchell positioned herself. Stone was in his car again, monitoring the medical alert in case something went wrong. I sat on the couch and waited. Camilla arrived at noon, carrying a plastic bag from the pharmacy. I got you the best pill organizer they had, she said brightly. 7 days, 4 times a day. You'll never forget a dose again. She sat beside me and pulled out bottles of medication. My real medication, the ones Dr. Grant had given me, and the poisoned ones she thought I'd been taking. She opened the organizer and started filling each compartment. Now let's see. Morning dose 1 metoprolol, 1 aspirin. She dropped pills into the Monday morning slot. I watched her hands carefully. The metoprolol she was using came from the tampered bottle, the poisoned one. And at night, you'll take 2 metoprolol instead of 1. Your blood pressure's been high lately. We need to get it under control. 2 pills, double the poison. Are you sure? I asked. That seems like a lot. Trust me, Audrey. I've done research. This is what you need. She filled the entire week. 7 days, 4 times a day. 28 doses of poison. If I took them as prescribed, I'd be dead within 3 days. There, she said, snapping the organizer closed. All done. Now you just follow the schedule. See Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She held up the organizer, showing me each day. I reached for it. Thank you. This will really help. As my fingers touched the plastic, Detective Mitchell stepped out of the bedroom. Camila Rivera, don't move. Camila's head snapped up. Her face went from confusion to horror. Who are you? Mitchell held up her badge. Detective Sarah Mitchell, Portland Police. Put down the pill organizers here. I don't understand, Audrey. What's going on? I stood up, my voice steady now. No more trembling. No more weakness. What's going on is you've been poisoning me for weeks, and you just filled a pill organizer with enough arsenic to kill me 3 times over. That's insane. These are just regular medications. Mitchell pulled on gloves and took the organizer. We'll test that, and I'm betting we'll find they're anything but regular. Camilla's eyes darted to the door. Mitchell blocked her path. Don't even think about it. You're under arrest for attempted murder. This is a misunderstanding. I was trying to help her by giving her double doses of tampered medication, by filling her organizer with poison. That's an interesting definition of help. As Mitchell read Camilla her rights, I pulled out my phone. By the way, I recorded everything. You telling me to take double doses. You explaining how this would control my blood pressure. A jury's going to love that. Camilla's perfect mask finally cracked. Rage flooded her face. You bitch! You set me up! No, I caught you. There's a difference. Mitchell cuffed her. We also have some questions about your husband's death and your first husband, Michael Santos. Funny how both died of sudden cardiac arrest. Camilla's face went white. That's right, I said. He said. We know about Michael. We know about the insurance money. We know everything. As Mitchell led her toward the door, Camilla stopped and looked at me. You have no idea what you've done. Bradley will toy. Bradley already confessed to breaking into my house, to attempted murder, to killing Benjamin. It's over, Camilla. For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. Good. After they took Camilla away, I sat in my quiet house. Dr. Stone came in looking worried. Are you okay? I'm fine. You almost died, multiple times. But I didn't, and now they're both in custody. He sat beside me. What happens now? Now we build the case. The prosecutor will need our testimony, the evidence, everything. It'll take months. Months of trials and lawyers and reliving everything. Yes, but at the end, justice. For Benjamin. For Michael Santos. For all of Camila's victims. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley. Mrs. Campbell, the office is chaos. Police everywhere. What's happening? I texted back. Justice is happening. I'll explain everything soon. Stone stood up. I should go. Give you time to rest. Richard, I stopped him. Thank you for helping. For believing me when no one else did. I owed Benjamin. I failed him once. I wasn't going to fail him again. After he left, I walked to the mantel and picked up a photo of Benjamin. Age 7, holding up his first caught fish. Proud. Happy. Alive. I got them, baby, I whispered. Both of them. They're going to pay for what they did to you. Outside Portland, rain tapped against the windows. The same rain that had fallen the day of his funeral. But this time I wasn't crying. I was planning. Because Camilla and Bradley were in custody, but the fight wasn't over. They had lawyers. They had money. They had connections. And I had the truth. The real battle was about to begin. Welcome back to the final chapter of my story. If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. My son Benjamin was murdered by his wife Camilla and his business partner Bradley. They tried to kill me too. But I set a trap, caught them both, and now they're behind bars awaiting trial. But as I'm about to tell you, the real battle was just beginning. Because Camilla had secrets I never imagined. And the truth about my son's death was even darker than I thought. Comment your city below and buckle up, because this ending will leave you speechless. 3 days after Camilla's arrest, I sat in a courtroom for the bail hearing. The room was cold fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Camilla sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, her perfect hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup, no designer clothes. She looked smaller somehow. Ordinary, but I knew better. Her lawyer, Marcus Whitfield, was expensive. $3,000 suit silver hair reputation for getting wealthy clients off on technicalities. Camilla must have used some of Benjamin's money to hire him. The thought made my blood boil. Detective Mitchell sat beside me in the gallery. "Don't worry," she whispered. "The evidence is solid. No judge will grant bail on attempted murder charges." I hoped she was right. The Judge Honorable Patricia Brennan entered. Everyone stood. "Please be seated," Judge Brennan said, settling into her chair. "We're here for the bail hearing of Camila Rivera, charged with attempted murder conspiracy to commit murder and fraud. Mr. Whitfield, you may proceed." Whitfield stood all charm and confidence. "Your Honor, my client is a grieving widow. Her husband died tragically just weeks ago, and she's being persecuted by a mother-in-law who can't accept that death was natural causes. Mrs. Rivera has no criminal record, strong ties to the community, and poses no flight risk." Judge Brennan looked skeptical. "Counselor, your client was arrested while allegedly providing poisoned medication to the victim. The police have documented evidence of arsenic in both the medication and in Mrs. Campbell's system." "Allegedly, Your Honor. These medications were prescribed by doctors. Any contamination could have occurred at the pharmacy during manufacturing or through mishandling by Mrs. Campbell herself. My client was simply trying to help an elderly woman who was becoming increasingly confused and paranoid." Elderly, confused, paranoid. The words stung even though I knew they were lies. "Furthermore," Whitfield continued, "Mrs. Campbell has a documented history of mental health issues following her wife's death 8 years ago. She's been under psychiatric care." "That's a lie." I stood up before I could stop myself. Judge Brennan's gavel came down. "Mrs. Campbell, please remain seated." "Your Honor, I've never been under psychiatric care. He's making things up." Whitfield smiled smoothly. "Your Honor, I have medical records here showing Mrs. Campbell was prescribed anti-anxiety medications following her wife's death in 2016. She was treated for depression and grief-related delusions." He was twisting the truth. Yes, I'd taken medication for anxiety after Eleanor died. For 3 months. 8 years ago. That didn't make me delusional. The prosecutor, Daniel Yamamoto, stood up. "Your Honor, may I? Please, Mr. Yamamoto." Yamamoto was younger than Whitfield, maybe mid-30s, but sharp as a knife. Mitchell had told me he specialized in homicide cases and never lost. "Your Honor, the defense is attempting to discredit the victim, but the evidence speaks for itself. We have laboratory confirmation that Mrs. Campbell's medication contained arsenic. We have video footage of the defendant filling a pill organizer with these poisoned pills. We have medical testimony that Mrs. Campbell would have died within days if she'd taken the medication as prescribed." He pulled out a folder. Additionally, we have evidence linking the defendant to the murder of Benjamin Campbell and the murder of her first husband, Michael Santos, in Arizona in 2019. This is a serial killer, Your Honor, not a confused widow. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Brennan banged her gavel. Order. Mr. Yamamoto, you're getting ahead of yourself. We're here for bail, not trial. I understand, Your Honor, but the prosecution believes the defendant is an extreme flight risk. She has access to significant financial resources, no family ties keeping her in Portland, and a clear pattern of violence. If released, she will flee or potentially harm additional victims. Whitfield shot back. Your Honor, my client's assets are frozen pending the estate settlement. She has no means to flee. She has Bradley Carson, Yamamoto countered. Her co-conspirator who embezzled nearly $4 million into offshore accounts. Money she has access to. Judge Brennan studied both lawyers, then looked at Camila. Ms. Rivera, please stand. Camila stood gracefully, her face composed. She'd put on a good show, vulnerable, scared, innocent. Ms. Rivera, I've reviewed the evidence presented. While I understand these are allegations yet to be proven in court, the nature of the charges and the strength of the preliminary evidence concern me greatly. Bail is denied. You'll remain in custody until trial. The gavel came down. Camila's composure cracked. Just for a second. Her eyes found mine across the courtroom. Pure hatred. Good. Now she knew how I felt. 2 weeks later, Ashley called me. Mrs. Campbell, you need to come to the office. I found something. What kind of something? I can't explain over the phone. Just come, please. I drove to Campbell Carson Enterprises. The building felt different now. Emptier. Police tape still crossed Benjamin's office door. Ashley met me in the lobby, practically bouncing with nervous energy. I've been going through the storage room, she said. Old files, archived documents. Most of it's routine business stuff, but then I found this. She led me to a small storage closet in the basement. Boxes lined the shelves, each labeled with years and file types. Ashley pulled out a box marked Personal BC 2023. This was hidden behind the water heater. I only found it because I dropped my phone back there. Look what's inside. She opened the box. Inside were notebooks. At least a dozen spiral-bound notebooks, each filled with Benjamin's handwriting. Are these journals? I asked. More like investigation logs. Read this one. She handed me a notebook dated January 2024, 2 months before Benjamin died. I opened to a random page. January 15th, 2024. Found another discrepancy in the Q4 reports. $127,000 transferred to KR Capital. When I asked Bradley about it, he claimed it was a vendor payment. But I checked. KR Capital isn't a vendor. It's a shell company. I'm now 90% certain Bradley has been embezzling for at least 2 years. Total amount stolen approximately $3.8 million. But that's not what scares me. What scares me is Camila's reaction when I mentioned possibly needing to fire Bradley. She got defensive, angry, started talking about how loyal Bradley has been, how I shouldn't make rash decisions. Since when does Camila care about Bradley's job security? I hired a private investigator yesterday. Jonathan Webb comes highly recommended. Asked him to follow Camila, document her activities. I need to know if my suspicions are correct. My hands trembled as I turned the page. January 22nd, 2024, Webb sent photos. Camila and Bradley at the Fairmont Hotel, entering room 847 at 2:47 p.m., leaving at 5:20 p.m. She's having an affair. I always thought our marriage was solid. Not perfect, but good enough. Apparently I was wrong. Webb found something else. Camila's real name isn't Camila Rivera. It's Camila Reyes Santos. She was married before in Tucson. Husband named Michael Santos. He died in 2019. Heart attack. Age 39. Just like how I'm supposed to die, apparently. I looked up at Ashley. There's more? She nodded grimly. Keep reading. February 3rd, 2024, Webb dug deeper into Michael Santos's death. Autopsy showed cardiac arrest, ruled natural causes. But here's the interesting part. 6 months before he died, Michael increased his life insurance to $2.3 million. Camila was the sole beneficiary. Sound familiar? I checked our own life insurance. Camila convinced me to increase mine last year. $5 million policy. I thought she was being practical. Now I think she was planning ahead. I'm going to the police tomorrow. This is beyond private investigators now. February 4th, 2024. Didn't go to police. Bradley has connections with Deputy Chief Rawlings. They golf together every Sunday. If I report this and Bradley gets tipped off, he'll destroy evidence. Need a different plan. February 10th, 2024. Talked to Rich Stone. Told him everything. He thinks I'm paranoid, but he's willing to help. We're working on a plan to catch them in the act. The idea fake my death. If Camilla thinks I'm already dead, she won't try to kill me. But if she and Bradley think they got away with it, they'll get sloppy. Make mistakes. Confess to each other, maybe. Rich can administer a drug that mimics death adenosine combined with a paralytic. I'll appear dead for about 6 minutes, then wake up naturally. Rich will be there to discover my body and call it in, but he'll make sure I'm revived safely. It's insane, but I'm running out of options. March 10th, 2024 found something horrifying. Webb traced Camilla's history back further. Before Michael Santos, she worked as a home health aide in Phoenix. 3 of her elderly patients died while under her care. All ruled natural causes. 3 deaths. Then Michael. Now she's planning mine. She's a serial killer. I tried to access her computer last night while she was sleeping. Locked. But I saw a notebook on her bedside table. Her handwriting. Pages and pages of notes about heart medications, poison dosages, symptoms of arsenic exposure. She's been planning this for months, maybe years. March 15th, 2024, meeting with divorce attorney tomorrow. Lawson Family Law. I'm filing for divorce and exposing Bradley's embezzlement simultaneously. I'll hit them from both sides before they know what's happening. Rich and I are scheduled for the fake death plan on March 17th, 8 p.m. at my office. I'll inject myself with the adenosine. Rich will find me and control the scene. But I'm also leaving evidence everywhere. If something goes wrong, if they somehow figure out the plan and kill me for real, at least Mom will find the truth. These notebooks, the USB drives, the safety deposit box. Mom, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. I should have been more careful. But please get justice. Make them pay. The notebook entry ended there. I closed the book, tears streaming down my face. He knew, I whispered. He knew she was going to kill him, and he tried to stop it. Ashley's voice was gentle. There's one more thing. In the box. She pulled out a small video camera, old-fashioned, the kind people use to record home movies. It was in the bottom of the box. I think Benjamin recorded something. We went back upstairs to Benjamin's office. The police had released it from evidence, and I had the keys now. Ashley connected the camera to Benjamin's computer and pulled up the video file. The screen flickered. Then Benjamin's face appeared. He was sitting at his desk. This office. The timestamp read March 17, 2024, 7:34 p.m. Less than an hour before he died. Mom! His voice came through the speakers, and I had to grip the desk to stay standing. If you're watching this, I'm dead. Really dead. The plan failed. On screen, Benjamin looked tired, scared. I'm about to inject myself with Rich's drug. He's supposed to be here at 8 p.m., but I'm starting early. I have a feeling. I don't know. Something feels wrong. Camilla's been acting strange all day. Too calm. Too sweet. He held up a syringe. This is the adenosine. In about 2 minutes, I'll be in a death-like state. Heart stopped, no breathing, but conscious. I'll be able to see and hear everything, just can't move. He paused, glancing at the door. If Camilla or Bradley come in while I'm paralyzed, I'll know for sure they're planning to kill me. This camera will record everything. Evidence. Another pause. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I dragged you into this mess. But if something happens to me, promise you'll fight. Don't let them get away with it. He prepared the injection site on his left arm. Here goes nothing. He injected himself. Within seconds, his eyes went unfocused. He slumped back in his chair, then slowly slid to the floor. The camera kept recording. Minutes ticked by. 7:36, 7:37, 7:38. At 7:42, the office door opened. Camilla walked in. She looked around, making sure she was alone. Then she saw Benjamin on the floor. No shock, no panic, no calling for help. She smiled. She knelt beside him, checking his pulse. Her smile widened. "You poor stupid man," she said softly. "Did you really think I didn't know about your little plan? I've been reading your emails for weeks. Every conversation with Dr. Stone. Every pathetic attempt to catch me." She pulled out her own syringe from her purse. This is potassium chloride. Same thing I used on Michael. Same thing I was going to use on you eventually, but you've made it so much easier. You're already paralyzed. You can't fight. You can't scream. She prepared the injection. I want you to know something before you die. I never loved you. Not for 1 second. You were just a paycheck. A boring, naive paycheck who was easy to manipulate. She found a vein in his right arm. Your mother's next, by the way. I've been poisoning her for weeks. She'll die soon and everyone will think it's grief. Natural causes. No one will suspect a thing. She injected the potassium chloride. Goodbye, Benjamin. Thanks for the $5 million. She stood up, smoothed her dress, and walked out. The camera kept recording. Benjamin's body lay motionless on the floor. At 8:12, the office door opened again. Dr. Rich Stone rushed in. Ben, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic was... He saw Benjamin on the floor and ran to him. No. Ben! He checked for a pulse. Started CPR. But it was too late. The adenosine should have worn off by now. Benjamin should have woken up. But the potassium chloride had stopped his heart for real. Stone pulled out his phone, calling 911. His voice shook as he reported finding Benjamin collapsed. The video ended. I sat in stunned silence, staring at the blank screen. Ashley was crying openly. She murdered him, right there on camera. She confessed everything. She killed my baby boy, I whispered. And he was conscious for all of it. He heard every word. He felt the injection. He knew he was dying and couldn't do anything to stop it. The rage that filled me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. The trial began on a gray Monday in May, 2 months after the arrests. The courthouse was packed. News vans lined the street. Black Widow killer, the headline screamed. Tech CEO's wife accused of multiple murders. I sat in the front row of the gallery wearing my best dress, Eleanor's pearl necklace around my neck for strength. Daniel Yamamoto stood to give his opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about greed. About a woman who discovered that marriage could be profitable if you're willing to kill for it. He walked to a display board showing photos. Camila Reyes was born in Mexico City in 1989, came to the United States at age 15. By age 21, she was working as a home health aide in Phoenix, Arizona. Between 2010 and 2015, 3 of her elderly clients died while under her care. Photos of 3 elderly people appeared on the screen. Martha Hendricks, age 78, died of heart failure 2012. Camila had been her caregiver for 4 months. Martha's will was changed 2 weeks before her death. She left Camila $50,000. Robert Chen, age 81, died of heart failure 2013. Camila cared for him for 6 months. His will was changed 1 month before his death. He left Camila $75,000. Dorothy Palmer, age 76, died of heart failure 2014. Camila cared for her for 8 months. Her will was changed 3 weeks before her death. She left Camila $100,000. Yamamoto turned to the jury. 3 deaths, 3 changed wills, 3 inheritances, all ruled natural causes because no one was looking for a pattern. But the pattern was there. He clicked to the next slide. Michael Santos. In 2016, Camila married Michael Santos in Tucson. He was a successful real estate developer worth approximately $3 million. 6 months after their wedding, Michael increased his life insurance to $2.3 million. 6 months after that, he died. Heart attack, age 39. No prior health issues. The autopsy showed potassium chloride in his system, but it was attributed to hospital IV contamination. No one suspected murder. Camila inherited everything. $2.3 million from insurance, plus his real estate holdings. He paused, letting it sink in. In 2015, Camila moved to Portland and met Benjamin Campbell. They married in 2015. By 2024, Benjamin's company was worth $15 million. He had a $5 million life insurance policy. And Camila was having an affair with his business partner, Bradley Carson. Photos of Bradley and Camila together. Hotel receipts. Text messages. When Benjamin discovered the affair and Bradley's embezzlement, he became a threat. So Camila decided to eliminate that threat. On March 17, 2024, while Benjamin was in a paralyzed state from a medication he'd self-administered, Camila injected him with potassium chloride. Yamamoto played the video from Benjamin's office. The jury watched in horror as Camilla confessed and murdered Benjamin on camera. 2 jurors were crying by the end. But Benjamin wasn't enough, Yamamoto continued. His mother, Audrey Campbell, started asking questions, started investigating. So Camilla began poisoning her too, arsenic in her medication, slowly killing her over weeks. And when that wasn't working fast enough, Camilla prepared a pill organizer with enough poison to kill Mrs. Campbell within days. He showed the jury the pill organizer, the lab results, the video of Camilla filling it. This is not a grieving widow. This is a serial killer. A woman who has murdered at least 5 people over 14 years, all for money. And she would have killed again if Mrs. Campbell hadn't been brave enough to set a trap. He looked each juror in the eye. The evidence will show that Camila Rivera is guilty of first-degree murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. And we will ask you to hold her accountable for every single victim. He sat down. The defense attorney Whitfield stood for his opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen, my client is a victim herself, a victim of circumstance, of prejudice, and of a justice system that rushes to judgment. I wanted to scream. Yes, Camila Rivera was married to men who died, but that doesn't make her a killer. People die, sometimes of natural causes. The prosecution wants you to see a pattern where there's only tragedy. He walked toward the jury. As for Benjamin Campbell, the video you saw is horrifying. But consider this, Camila didn't know Benjamin had injected himself with a paralytic. She thought he was having a real heart attack. In her panic, she attempted to administer what she believed was life-saving medication. The lie was so blatant I gasped out loud. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Campbell, please, Whitfield continued. The potassium chloride in her possession, it was prescribed to her for a legitimate medical condition. The syringe. She was trying to save her husband, not kill him. And as for Mrs. Campbell's allegations of poisoning, we have an alternative explanation. Mrs. Campbell is 62 years old, suffering from severe grief and depression. She's been taking multiple medications, some of which she obtained without proper prescriptions. Any arsenic in her system could have come from environmental exposure, contaminated herbal supplements, or improper medication management. He smiled sympathetically at the jury. My client is not a killer. She's a widow who made the mistake of marrying men who died young. That's not a crime. That's a tragedy. I watched the jury's faces. Some looked skeptical, but a few seemed swayed by Whitfield's smooth words. This was going to be harder than I thought. On day 3 of the trial, Bradley Carson took the stand. He'd taken a plea deal to testify against Camilla, and his sentence would be reduced from life to 25 years. He looked terrible. Orange jumpsuit, unshaven eyes, hollow. The confident businessman was gone. Yamamoto approached him. Mr. Carson, please tell the jury how you met Camila Rivera. Bradley's voice was flat. At a business conference in 2022. She was there with Benjamin. We started talking. She was charming, intelligent. We exchanged numbers. When did your relationship become romantic? About 6 months later, May 2023. She called me one night, said she was lonely, that Benjamin was always working, neglecting her. We met for drinks. One thing led to another. Did you know she was planning to kill her husband? Bradley hesitated. Not at first. I thought we were just having an affair. But then she started talking about how much money Benjamin had, how we could be together if he was out of the picture. What did you say? I told her that was crazy, that we couldn't. He stopped. But she kept pushing, kept saying it would be easy, that she'd done it before. She told you she'd killed her previous husband. Yes. She said Michael Santos's death was practice, that she'd learned from that one, that Benjamin would be cleaner, easier. The jury looked horrified. What was your role in Benjamin's murder? I was supposed to provide an alibi, be somewhere public when it happened, then discover the body later and call 911, make sure the scene wasn't contaminated, that it looked like natural causes. But you weren't present when Camilla killed Benjamin. No, she did that alone. She said it was better if I wasn't there, less suspicious. What about the embezzlement? Bradley's face flushed. That was my idea. I started moving money into offshore accounts about 2 years ago. Small amounts at first, then larger. I thought I could get away with it. Did Camilla know about the embezzlement? Yes. She found out about 6 months ago. Said she'd tell Benjamin unless I helped her with his murder. So I was trapped. After Benjamin died, what was the plan? We'd wait a few months, let things settle down. Then Camilla would sell the business to me at a reduced price money she'd get from the estate. We'd split everything 50-50 and start a new life together. What about Audrey Campbell? Bradley's voice dropped. Camilla said she was a problem, that she was asking too many questions. She told me she was handling it. How was she handling it? Poisoning her. Same way she killed the others. Slow looked natural. And the night you broke into Mrs. Campbell's house, Camilla told me the poison wasn't working fast enough, that Mrs. Campbell was getting suspicious. She said I needed to finish the job, gave me a syringe of potassium chloride and told me to inject her while she slept. Why did you do it? Bradley finally showed emotion. His voice cracked. Because I was in too deep. Because I thought Camilla loved me. Because I'm a coward. Yamamoto nodded. No further questions. Whitfield stood for cross-examination. Mr. Carson, you're testifying in exchange for a reduced sentence, correct? Yes. So you have every reason to lie, to blame my client for everything while minimizing your own role. I'm telling the truth. Are you? Or are you a spurned lover trying to get revenge on a woman who rejected you? Bradley's eyes flashed. She didn't reject me. She used me. Did she? Or did you use her? You admit you were embezzling money. You admit you broke into Mrs. Campbell's house with intent to kill. Maybe you manipulated Camilla. Maybe you killed Benjamin yourself, and now you're blaming a grieving widow. That's not what happened. Isn't it? You have no proof Camilla planned any of this. Just your word. The word of a confessed embezzler and attempted murderer. Yamamoto stood. Objection. Argumentative. Sustained, the judge said. But the damage was done. Whitfield had planted doubt. On day 7, Camilla testified in her own defense. Whitfield had coached her well. She wore a simple gray dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. She looked younger, vulnerable. Ms. Rivera, Whitfield began gently, tell the jury about your childhood. Camilla's voice was soft trembling. I grew up in Mexico City. My father was abusive. He beat my mother. He beat me. When I was 12, he started coming to my room at night. Several jurors looked sympathetic. When I was 15, my mother and I escaped to the United States. We had nothing. We lived in a shelter in Phoenix. My mother worked 3 jobs to support us. When did you start working as a home health aide? At 21, I wanted to help people. Elderly people reminded me of my grandmother back in Mexico. She was kind to me when my father wasn't. The prosecution claims you killed 3 of your clients. That's not true. Tears welled in her eyes. Martha, Robert, Dorothy, they were like family to me. Yes, they left me money, but that was their choice. They appreciated my care. I never asked for anything. Lie. All lies. But she was convincing. What about Michael Santos? Michael was my first love. We were so happy. When he died, I was devastated. The prosecution makes it sound like I killed him for money, but I would have given anything to have him back. And Benjamin Campbell, her voice broke. Benjamin was my second chance at happiness. I loved him. When he died, I felt like I was cursed, like everyone I loved was taken from me. Did you kill Benjamin Das? No, never. See. I would never. She sobbed, covering her face. The jury was eating it up. The video shows you injecting something into Benjamin's arm. I was trying to save him. He was on the floor, not breathing. I panicked. I had potassium supplement in my purse. I take it for a medical condition, and I thought maybe it would help restart his heart. I know that sounds stupid now, but I wasn't thinking clearly. More tears. What about Mrs. Campbell? Did you poison her? No, I was trying to help her. She was so confused after Benjamin's death, not taking her medications properly. I organized her pills to help her. I had no idea they were contaminated. Maybe the pharmacy made a mistake. Maybe she contaminated them herself without realizing. Whitfield nodded sympathetically. One final question, Ms. Rivera. Did you kill anyone? No. She looked directly at the jury. I'm not a murderer. I'm just a woman who's lost everyone she's ever loved. And now I'm being punished for that. Whitfield sat down. My turn was coming. Yamamoto had warned me I might be called as a witness to counter Camilla's testimony, and I was ready. The prosecution calls Audrey Campbell. I stood and walked to the witness stand. My hands were shaking, but I kept my head high. After I was sworn in, Yamamoto approached. Mrs. Campbell, you've heard the defendant's testimony. She claims she was trying to help you with your medications. Is that true? No, she was poisoning me. How do you know? Because after she organized my pills, I had them tested. They contained arsenic. The pills she gave me were contaminated. Not the ones from the pharmacy, the ones she personally filled into the organizer. I pulled out the lab report. This shows arsenic levels consistent with murder, not contamination. Did the defendant ever threaten you? Yes. She came to my house and told me I should stop investigating Benjamin's death. She mentioned my late wife's heart attack, said these things run in families. She said the stress of investigating wasn't good for my health. It wasn't concern. It was a threat. Did you record this conversation? Yes. I knew she was dangerous, so I started recording all our interactions. Yamamoto played the audio. Camilla's voice, cold and calculating, talking about my heart condition, my wife's death. The sympathetic looks from the jury disappeared. Mrs. Campbell, why did you set up the trap to catch her? Because she killed my son, and she was going to kill me. I couldn't let her get away with it. Yamamoto nodded. No further questions. Whitfield approached for cross-examination. Mrs. Campbell, you're 62 years old, correct? Yes. And you've been under significant emotional stress since your son's death. Of course, my son was murdered. Your son died of a heart attack according to the medical examiner. My son was murdered by your client. Mrs. Campbell, isn't it possible that grief has affected your judgment, that you're seeing conspiracies where there are only tragedies? I saw Camilla confess on video. I saw her inject my son with poison. That's not grief. That's evidence. That video could be interpreted multiple ways. She said thanks for the $5 million. Those were her exact words after she murdered him. How else do you interpret that? Whitfield tried a different approach. You recorded conversations without Ms. Rivera's knowledge. You set elaborate traps. Some might say you're the manipulative one here. I was protecting myself from a killer. Or you were manufacturing evidence to support your delusion that my client killed your son. I looked directly at Camilla. She was watching me with those cold eyes. Your client is a serial killer. She murdered my son. She tried to murder me. And she'll do it again if she's set free. Mrs. Campbell, please. She's done it at least 5 times. How many more people have to die before someone believes the pattern? The judge intervened. Mrs. Campbell, please just answer the questions. I am answering. The question is whether I'm delusional or telling the truth. The evidence speaks for itself. Whitfield had no more questions. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom, unable to eat or drink. Dr. Stone sat with me. Detective Mitchell. Ashley. They're taking too long, I said. What if they don't convict? They will, Mitchell assured me. The evidence is overwhelming. But I'd seen too many cases where overwhelming evidence wasn't enough, where good lawyers convinced juries to ignore the truth. At 4:37 p.m. we got the call. The jury had reached a verdict. We filed back into the courtroom. Camilla sat at the defense table, her face unreadable. Has the jury reached a verdict? The judge asked. The foreman stood. We have, Your Honor. On the count of first-degree murder and the death of Benjamin Campbell, how do you find we find the defendant guilty? My breath caught. On the count of attempted murder of Audrey Campbell, how do you find guilty? On the count of conspiracy to commit murder, guilty. On the count of fraud, guilty. Guilty on all counts. I covered my mouth, tears streaming down my face. Camilla sat frozen. Then slowly she turned to look at me. And she smiled. Not a friendly smile. A cold, knowing smile that said, this isn't over. 2 weeks later, we returned for sentencing. Judge Brennan reviewed the case, the evidence, the jury's verdict. Ms. Rivera, you have been found guilty of first-degree murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, and fraud. Before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say? Camilla stood. For a moment, I thought she might apologize, show remorse. Instead, she laughed. You want to know the truth, she said. Fine, I'll tell you the truth. Whitfield tried to stop her. Camilla, don't... She shook him off. Benjamin was weak, trusting, easy to manipulate. Just like Michael, just like all of them. They saw a pretty face and a sad story and they threw money at me. The courtroom was silent. I didn't kill 3 elderly clients. I killed 5. There were 2 more in California that no one ever connected to me. And yes, I killed Michael and Benjamin. And I would have killed that nosy old woman too if she hadn't gotten lucky. She looked directly at me. You think you won? You didn't win anything. I had 9 good years living off your son's money. 9 years of luxury. Even if I spend the rest of my life in prison, it was worth it." Judge Brennan's voice was ice. "Ms. Rivera, I've been a judge for 23 years. I've seen murderers, rapists, thieves, but I've never seen someone as cold and calculating as you." She turned to the court reporter. "Let the record show that the defendant has just confessed to 7 murders, not 1. She looked back at Camilla. "I hereby sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. You will serve consecutive sentences for each count. You will never walk free again." The gavel came down. Camilla was led away in handcuffs, still smiling. I stood in front of a modest building in northeast Portland. The sign read, "The Benjamin Campbell Advocacy Center, Support for Families of Murder Victims." It had taken 6 months, but I'd finally done it. Used part of Benjamin's estate to create something good from all this horror. Inside, 3 staff members were setting up for our opening day. Ashley managed the office. Dr. Stone volunteered as a counselor. Detective Mitchell, now retired, worked as a victim advocate. "Are you ready?" Ashley asked. I looked around the space. Photos of Benjamin on the walls. Resources for families. A safe place for people who'd been through what I'd been through. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." Our first client arrived at 10 a.m., a young woman whose husband had died mysteriously. The police weren't investigating. Everyone said natural causes, but she knew better. I sat with her and listened to her story, and when she finished, I said the words I wished someone had said to me. "I believe you, and I'm going to help you prove it." A year after Benjamin's death, I visited his grave. Fresh flowers lay on the headstone. I knelt down and touched the cold marble. "Hey, baby," I whispered. "We did it. Camila's in prison. Bradley, too. They'll never hurt anyone again." The Portland rain tapped softly around me. "The advocacy center's doing well. We've helped 12 families so far. Got justice for 8 of them. I think you'd be proud." I paused, remembering his face, his smile, his laugh. "I miss you every day. But I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. Fighting for people who can't fight for themselves, just like you taught me." A breeze rustled the leaves. "Rest easy, son. Your death meant something. You saved your old mom, and now we're saving others." I stood up, wiping my tears. As I walked back to my car, my phone buzzed. A text from Ashley. "New client needs help. Suspicious death of wife. Husband says it wasn't natural. Can you meet with them tomorrow?" I typed back, "Of course. Tell them to come to the office at 10 a.m. We'll figure this out together." Because that's what I did now. I helped people get justice when the system failed them. I was Audrey Campbell. I was 63 years old. And I was just getting started. Thank you for following my story from beginning to end. If you've ever lost someone and felt like no one believed you, if you've ever had to fight for justice alone, I want you to know you're not crazy. Trust your instincts. Fight for the truth. Comment below and tell me what city you're watching from. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it with them. Before you go, make sure you watch these 2 stories I'm recommending next. They're about people who fought back against family betrayal and won. You won't believe what happens in them. And remember, sometimes the oldest, quietest person in the room is actually the most dangerous. Because we've lived long enough to know how to fight dirty, and we're not afraid to do it.